Well, hey, welcome everybody to another exciting episode of Tech Tip Tuesday. My name's Ken Close. I am a Healy World member, USA, lover of the technology, engineer, and entrepreneur, like many of you guys may be out there, just making the world a better place. Yeah. And I'm blessed to be joined by our head of ops, Jake Barron. He's over there in Orlando. Jake, how are you?
Hey Ken, hey Henry, hello everyone.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. And we've got our head of onboarding, global head of our onboarding, Henry Pena. Hey, Henry, welcome.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Ken.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys are here. This is always a lot of fun. We got the geniuses of the Healy world right here, just co-creating and then serving you guys in whatever way you guys need. So if you're brand new to Tech Tip Tuesday, the first thing I want to do is make sure I welcome you guys. Thanks for being here. You're at the right place for finding information on all things Healy. And if it is your first time, let me just tell you a little bit how it works, right? This is a chat-based forum where you guys put your questions in the chat there, and then myself, Henry, Jake, and even sometimes some of our guests unpack those mysteries and solve them and come up with some great answers. Oftentimes, we may dive down some rabbit holes of quantum entanglement and all that kind of fun stuff. So hang on, buckle up, put your helmet on, get ready for a bumpy ride sometimes. But what we can't do, that's what we can do. We can talk all things Healy, technology, new and old, by the way, as well as the apps and the functionalities, theories, concepts, even science stuff. What we can't do is we can't talk about anything that has to do with diagnosing, treating, preventing any diseases, disorders, or functions such as that. We can't really give you any recommendations on what program for what condition. We can point you in the right direction for finding all that kind of cool stuff. So definitely, if there is something around that, we can point you in the right way. So I'm so looking forward to our episode today. You guys ready?
I'm
I'm
ready.
ready. Let's do this.
Audience, you ready? Let's go. Come on. Now, like I said, put your questions in the chat. And also, hey, let's make it a little bit fun. Well, where are you guys from? Where are you coming from today? And what are you up to? I mean, or even what I like to know is what Healy program are you running right now?
There we
And
go.
yeah, and we might even reveal our secrets ourselves. I don't know. I saw you, Henry, putting on an amazing wrist bracelet there. You want to
Right.
tell us? You want to tell us about that?
Absolutely, the Healy HighWave. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but oh, there you go. Ken also has it too. There you go.
What's this? What is this? Everyone unite.
Los tres amigos.
Tres
Three
amigos.
amigos.
Power
That's
bracelets. Engage.
there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
actually,
Oh yeah, you can
maybe
go ahead, Jake. Go ahead. Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, yeah, we're working on a. We haven't had a Healy for beginners and beyond in a long time, and we focus on Tech Tip Tuesday, with HighWave, and where the backlog is finally clear, and pretty much everywhere around the world. There's inventory in the warehouse, which is amazing. So many people now are kind of really just in the last week or two really experiencing HighWave for the first time. So we figured, okay, it's a good time to bring Healy for Beginners and Beyond back, at least for a one-off episode on just the HighWave. So we are putting that together. The plan is right now to do that 2 weeks from today, September 9th. So in the same time slot. So 1 p.m. Eastern, Tuesday, September 9th, we'll do an episode entirely on HighWave. How it works, what to look out for, the different light patterns, the programs, all the different things you need to know about getting the most out of your Healy HighWave. So we'll announce that more, as we get closer to the date, and we'll put the final announcement into Frequencies and Friends, which is next week. Actually, next Tuesday. Actually, next Tuesday during this exact time slot is Frequencies and Friends. So we won't have Tech Tip Tuesday next week because it's the same time as Frequencies and Friends. So 1 p.m. Eastern next Tuesday, we do Frequencies and Friends, and then the following Tuesday, same time, 1 p.m. Eastern, we're going to do that episode on just the Healy HighWave too. So Put that in the
Awesome.
calendar. Like, don't want to miss that one.
Right, you guys. I mean, if you guys have ever attended a Tech Tip Tuesday before, you know it's kind of an open forum, kind of a you guys guide the episode yourself with your questions and such. But when it comes to Healy for Beginners and Beyond, there's kind of a structured scenario where we're talking about a certain, like Jake says, certain topic, and that's going to be the high wave. So you're going to learn all things, right? So that's the
Yeah,
best thing. And then,
exactly. We'll follow. We want there's certain points we want to make sure that we cover during that call, but we will have time for some questions along the way too. And we want everyone that has a high wave that's attending that session to wear your high wave and be using your high wave during that episode next or 2 weeks from today.
2 weeks from today. So, guys, this is the last Tech Tip Tuesday of the month, first of all, right? And then the last one for like 3 weeks. So
Yeah, pretty much till mid-September. We'll be back to the regular schedule. So.
Exactly, guys. So yeah, so bring your questions, and if you guys know anybody out there, again, maybe you don't have a question right now, but if you know somebody out there maybe has asked you a question, right? And you're like, man, here's what I think it is. Have them come in here and maybe we can expand on it even more, right? That's always, to me, that's the fun thing of life is to expand on things. Like, when it comes to Healy, that's been my motto since the beginning. I've always been really working on what's the next thing in my life. It's not working on a disorder or disease necessarily, but what's the next thing physically, emotionally, through the growth series, spiritually, all that kind of thing for me. And I've found that Healy has put me on a trajectory. Like I said, when you come into really diving deep in the quantum field, buckle up, put your seatbelt on, because it's a ride, guys. It's not just a little, passive thing. You learn stuff that you've never even thought of. You even didn't fathom the idea of the very, very, very tiny or the very, very, very vast. We're always right here in the space of what we see in the mirror most of the time, right? And that's not where Healy lives. It is not where Healy operates. Healy operates on the very, very vast, and the very, very tiny. So all the way down to the molecular structure, expanded all the way out into the universal structure in quantum fields. So this is the bridge. My little elevator pitch when somebody says, well, what's Healy? I said, well, if you could fathom, it is the bridge between the quantum field of information and the biological and physical fields of matter. There you go. And they're like, what? Well, material matter, that's you, the body standing here talking to me in space and time on the elevator, right? And then there's a blueprint for all this. And what if you could bridge that? And you were connected to the blueprint of all things possible and built into what's tangible in the three-dimensional space right now. What if you did that? What if you could bridge that and there was a frequency that could massage that into alignment, right? What if you could do that? Well, that's what we can do. And that's exactly what we talk about. That's my little elevator pitch. And depending on if we're at the 40th floor or the first floor, we don't go very far.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. I don't see any questions, but we do have a hand up, guys.
Yeah.
You wanna take a question from live here? Let's see.
No, I know Esmeralda had reached out to us recently. She was very excited to see you, Ken, and she may have been even in the Healy Solution series episode.
Oh, you get yeah. You know what? If you guys get invited to the Healy Solution series, definitely take the opportunity to search inside of yourself, because the reason you're asked is because whatever the topic coming up, the Healy crew felt that you had contribution, right? And so what do? Well, you simply dive into your soul, reach into your heart, and you don't have to get to the thing. I believe is, like, whenever I'm like interviewing people for a panel or something like that, people are nervous about being in the spotlight, right? You're like, I don't know if I can do this. I'm nervous, right? I'm kind of shy maybe, or whatever. I've never really done a lot of public speaking, or even if you have, the natural inclination to be nervous about the content you want to present. It's normal. But if we reach down into our heart and we say, I want to serve from a position of my heart, and I've been invited because someone out there recognizes something about me that I can contribute, that's enough. That's enough. That's more than enough. And then the moment you just take the topic, feel into it, what I'll normally do is I'll go into meditation. I'll take the topic and I'll say, hey, Source, you and I are going to partner on this. And we're going to come up with some great contribution. And the moment we do, I come back out into this realities. The thing about meditation or prayer, when you get beyond the self, you've let go of the senses. You're no longer a body in space and time. You're just open and free. The moment you get there, you're suddenly connected to your origin, your oneness, right? This is something beyond yourself. And I'm assuming that everyone on this call can agree that there's a belief in something bigger than self. Yeah. I mean, there's some kind of understanding. It doesn't matter what religion or background or that, but there's a belief in something bigger than yourself. Great. So you become one with that. And that infinite intelligence starts to download content into your awareness, into your consciousness. And then that information, you come back out of that meditation, you come back out of that prayer, and you bring it with you. You don't lose it. You bring it back with you into the three-dimensional space, and suddenly it becomes you. And you write it down, because how many times have you ever woken up from a dream that was amazing, and like 10 minutes later, you're trying to remember it? It's like, oh man, what was that dream about? You write it down. You write it down, right? You make sure that you keep that information right there, front and center. So, Esmeralda, you had a question? Did you want to come up? Okay, let's see if we can unmute you. You want to do that? Ask her to unmute, and then
she
got
should have put the little notif. There you go.
All right, here we are. Okay, first of all, I'm so excited. Really, I am. I'm so grateful to be here with you guys that know so much about something that is really, for me, I can't express in words how amazing is this discovery. I know it's been there, but just a few months ago, I have the opportunity to experience in my personal life in a very intimate way with my mother, and besides that, everything that happens after that. And thank you so much, because it's amazing and it's beautiful to see that we finally get in a point that we can talk about consciousness in such an open way, and that we really are having something in our hands that can reach that infinite possibilities in the field. And so I'm very grateful to all of you, and thank you so much for the invitation. Really, I'm just have maybe 2 months involved with Healy, but I have already the opportunity to share it with some of my students and on my field. I've been connected to the field for many years. Of course, many years ago, they would look to me like, what this
You're
woman
crazy.
is talking about, you know. But that's why I'm so excited to have now this beautiful vision. And what really connect me is the vision of Marcus, that we really need to be aware of the need and importance to increase the frequency of the planet individually, so that we can really go one by one, because it's the only way. But then we have something, such an amazing tool to help us, because the path is not easy. The path is not easy to increase that consciousness. Individually is not easy, but with a tool like Healy, it's a hope. It's a big hope. So that's all that I want to share with all of you. And thank you so much. I'm in New York. Now I'm in Spain, but I'm close to who is in Germany. We're close. If someone in Germany now, but I live in between New York and Connecticut. And yes, we're very excited. My students are involving everyone into Healy. And I hope soon we can have a community that is, worth it of this mission. Because for me, more than anything else, it's a vision, and it's a movement, that we need to begin. I'm from Colombia. I knew Healy through Colombia. Incredible. I didn't know about Healy from in United States, but I've been very fortunate to have amazing friends to share this with me. And that's what I'm doing now in New York and Connecticut and California too. And here in Spain, I have someone who's going to get the obsidian. So we're going. We're here to do what we need to do. And thank you. Thank you, all of you, really, because it's so inspiring to be here.
I love
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you so much for your insight and contribution. So
Oh.
you know, I mean, Healy Corporate, you guys have spoke with her about the next Healy Solution series. So stay tuned.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. And you have your HighWave on now too. So you hold up your HighWave along with us. There we go. All four. There we go. Okay.
Screenshot, everybody.
That's wonderful.
Awesome.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thanks for being here.
Okay, thank you all.
Thank you. Awesome.
I love it. I mean, you know, testimonials are also extremely valuable, right? To have a testimonial and for people to be able to contribute. Because again, one of the I feel it all the time is one of the most powerful assets that we have as humans is community. It's community, right? There's been study after study after study that speaks to the longevity of these bodies just because of community. And Esmeralda's talking about her students, talking about a community, right? Talking about community in different countries even. And that alone, we are one consciousness individually, but we're also contributing to a overall human consciousness, which also contributes to even a more vast consciousness of consciousness itself. So, I mean, for some, that might be a bit of a struggle to understand, right? Because again, like I said, many people on this planet look at themselves as limited to what they see in the mirror. That's it. That's all there is. And that's so incomplete, right? It's just incomplete because what we see in the mirror, by the way, folks, is not even real. It's a reflection of light that's being transmitted back to you that already has an incoherent frequency, incomplete frequency with you. It's not complete, right? How could it be complete? Because it's not all of you. It's only a piece of you. It's a frequency of light, photon information, right? We're way more than that. So to see ourselves solely as the vision in a mirror is, to say the least, a lack of wholeness. And so we really need to, as each of us, see ourselves in a greater view. Now, Marcus has said this before. I've had the privilege of being in live conferences with him as well as online. And he talks about consciousness, and he also talks about our individual contribution to the whole. We can't discount our value into that contribution and say, well, you know, what I do doesn't matter. I mean, I'm only one of 8 billion people on this planet. It doesn't matter. But that's so not true. It is so not true. We have to really take charge, take responsibility for our state of being, right? Take responsibility for our state of being. And how are we going to contribute to the world? And you heard Esmeralda speak about this a minute ago. She even talks about this in terms of is this community, we're contributing all the time in some way. It's very important, I believe, that we start, better lack of words, clean up our act. Right? We need to clean up our act so we can clean up our world. We can clean up our species. So I don't see a lot of questions here, guys, but anything you want to contribute there? There's the link to the
Yeah, I put some links in there just so, as we mentioned earlier, next Tuesday, this will be Frequencies and Friends at the same time. So that's the link to register for that meeting if you have not already done that. And then the following Tuesday, September 9th, there's that link there to register for the Healy HighWave episode of Healy for Beginners and Beyond.
Awesome. Okay, so we do have a question came in. Is there a recording of the HighWave webinar with Marcus? And she said, I'm still waiting for my band to arrive. In the meantime, will the Healy bracelet work with the HighWave programs while waiting for it to arrive? So the answer to the webinar, is that what the webinar was for? Was that for
Yeah,
Obsidian?
there was a webinar,
No,
was it last week or the week before with Marcus?
2 weeks.
Just for anyone that's purchased a HighWave there so far. I don't think there's a public recording made available. I do know that there's plans to have more content in Healy Academy for some of these types of categories too. Some of those, though, are related to anybody that is in the VIP Obsidian Club. So I don't know the exact plans for releasing that recording too. But yeah, I don't have an answer right now, but it could be something that is made available either in whole or in parts later in the future.
Yeah, as with all the new releases, just like with the coil and with with the Mag Healy, it takes a bit for the recordings and the content and the trainings to catch up. And awesome, by the way, you've made an order waiting for your band to arrive, and as you heard Jake say, the fulfillment is blasting out there, so it's coming, right?
Yeah, I'm curious if you want to put in the chat here when you placed your order. Is this something that you placed a while ago? Because as I mentioned, we do have, at least in the U.S. and Canada, Mexico too, in Colombia, we do have inventory available to ship. So I'm wondering if it's something that was a recent order and it just is a normal processing time. But if it's something that was placed a while ago, like weeks ago or a month ago, it's something that we'll want to look into to make sure or see what's going on there, because it should have been shipped out already. But we can answer. So if you want to put maybe the order number and date in the chat, or send it directly to me or Henry, and we can take a look. But the other part of the question we can talk about here. So it's, in the meantime, will the Healy bracelet work with the HighWave program while waiting for it to arrive? So that's a great question, because for right now, when you purchase the HighWave, it's bundled with the two different new program groups, the MindWave programs and the CellWave. I'm actually running one of these CellWave programs right now, running cell vitalization here. You see here on the screen. So I'm running my HighWave hooked up. We're all set here. But these are programs specifically designed to work best with the HighWave. So as far as will it work, will you receive some benefit? Yes, most likely, but you're not going to get the full intent of the program or the full benefits of the program, because it's not designed to be used with the HighWave with those higher 5 megahertz carrier frequencies as well, in order to fully get those programs evenly transmitted throughout the entire body too. So you can, it's not going to harm you by running the program. You're just not going to receive basically the max benefits from that particular program. So, in the meantime, if it's waiting for another few days, you might want to just continue using your Healy with the other regular programs that you normally do. And then when you get the HighWave, focus on those MindWave and CellWave programs.
So if we look at it from an application perspective, because the HighWave is taking whatever the program frequencies are, right? And those are their specific frequencies designed for the modality of the program, MindWave or CellWave, and whatever the name of the program is, what it's addressing. Okay, so that's kind of like bandwidth number one, or boundary number one. It's for a purpose in the body. Secondly, all the frequencies that are entangled within that program, within that bandwidth, are now designed to be applied to the body on a higher frequency carrier. All right. In other words, the way they're applied to the body is not through an electron necessarily, which is microcurrent flow through the body, not necessarily through a magnetic wave, which is what the coil would transmit in that regard, or not necessarily in a sticky pad application that is directly designed for a specific acute condition. All right. So these are going to be more whole body, systemically applied type of programs and application modality. So system wide. So let's just say you're running one of the stimulation programs, right? Or one of the acute programs that Healy has. And you'll see the acute ones are designed to be applied with the sticky pads, okay? And those are because they're designed to go to a certain part of the body and speak to a certain system, whether it be your nervous system or well, still nervous system, but say pain locally or whatever. That would not be a very good program for a higher frequency carrier wave that's supposed to go systemically, the whole system. It wouldn't be optimized. Would it be useless? No. But would it be optimized? No. So again, when Healy builds something, well, let's just put it this way. When anybody, any engineer builds something, I'm an engineer. When I build something, I build it with parameters, right? I have not yet invented anything that does everything. I haven't invented that yet. I would like to, because it would probably be a very lucrative product, right? It would do everything. Like, you want to make your coffee? Done. You want to auto navigate your car? Done. You want to, I don't know, build more muscle? Done. You know, an invention like that would be crazy. I don't have one of those, but everything has a purpose. I engineer it with boundaries, bandwidths. What's it for? And then start building around that. So this is what Healy did. This is what Healy did. First came out with what? The Healy, right? Right? And it did certain things connected to the body in a certain way. Then it started to expand into the coil. Now we can apply things in a different modality. Then we went into the mag Healy, right? And that started to apply in another modality, another arena. And now with the HighWave, again, another modality in which we can start to expand the reach within the body. And as I told you before, as we started this call, we expand all the way out to the quantum field and then all the way down to the very tiny. So now we're able to do that in another way. Make sense? Henry, I know you do a lot of onboarding stuff and people have some pretty deep questions. What would what would your take be on you know, the HighWave and the application variance between the other three ways?
I think it really can be summarized not only like in two aspects: the depth of the application. I understand that it will reach deeper into each individual cell within your body. So it's the reach is not only going to be deeper, but also the distribution is also going to be more even. It's going to be consistent throughout the whole body, which varies. Like even when you use something systemic like the wristbands, you will lose a certain degree of information as it travels through your body. That is not the case with the Healy HighWave. We actually have a video proof of this. I'm pretty sure it's available on our YouTube channel, where Marcus is basically showing how you can detect that carrier wave anywhere in your body, regardless of where you put the Healy HighWave. So again, it's not only a matter of depth of how the frequencies reach deeper into each individual cell, but also the consistency as it travels through your body. Which, by the way, I know it was asked about the Healy HighWave. You know, if you could still use the cell wave and mind wave programs without the Healy HighWave. So for anybody who ordered the Healy HighWave and don't have it yet, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Jake, but if you want to take advantage of some of the Healy HighWave things, you should be able to access the Healy HighWave database. So both the cell wave and mind wave database in the Healy Advisor Analyze 2 app, which it will not only allow you to do analysis and determine which of those programs may resonate the most with you, but remember, you will also get your top top 5 programs, whether it's mind wave or cell wave, and then vibrate that positive information into your information field, which ultimately would have an impact in your bioenergetic field. So take advantage of those. Those are available for you the moment you purchase your Healy HighWave, even if you don't have it yet with you. You just need your Healy. Remember, at that point, when we're talking about the Healy Advisor Analyze 2 app, the Healy is the one that's going to be interacting directly with the information field. So no additional accessories are needed.
Yeah. So remember, guys, if you've got your analysis engine, right, your advisor, and you want to do an analysis on all Healy programs, you'll see when you choose all Healy programs, right, or you just choose that particular database, which is in the resonance program. It's the Healy program group analysis. Okay, it's pretty much the top one there. It'll give you a list of all of the groups that you can use to analyze based on your Healy that you're connected to. It'll be based on that. So you'll then know exactly what items will be in that database that you're doing your analysis on. So there's really no question there. Is it available? Is it not? Well, there you go. There's your answer. You'll see it or you won't see it. So when it comes to, and there's the second part of that, there's another question here about the light on the HighWave. I don't know if you can see. There's on the bottom section here of the fixture, the HighWave fixture, there's a small little dot. That's actually a light, and it either comes on or it oscillates or it stays solid based on the interaction between the Healy and the wristband and your body. And so there's some oscillation. We're going to talk about that on the Healy for Beginners and Beyond, right? You want to give any insight on that beforehand, or you want to say, hey, tune in?
I mean, I think we can at least give you a peek at when it comes to the principles of how that light works, right? So as long as you're able to connect your Healy HighWave to your Healy, here are the things that you need to take into consideration before you start using your Healy HighWave. You need to ensure your Healy is set to high current mode, which by default all newer Healys are set to high current mode. So you should, if you haven't messed with that, shouldn't be something you need to worry about. Of course, you need to ensure that the Healy HighWave is inserted correctly, and at that point you're good to go. The other thing that needs to be considered at that point is ensuring that you're not using a local or acute program or pain simulation program. Remember, it has to be an IMF program. It will say IMF on the top right corner, or a Healy HighWave program. Those are the ones that are going to have an HW on the corner. One other thing, intensity. You need to ensure that the intensity is high enough, otherwise the light will not light up. Now, usually this is pretty straightforward, and you set this up in just a matter of seconds. You set it up, you increase intensity, everything is good. You see that light started blinking, or sometimes it's going to be solid. Now, here's the last thing I'm going to say. Once you start seeing that light blinking, or maybe even being solid, you can already at that point confirm that everything is working as expected. Now, later on Healy for Beginners and Beyond, we will expand as to the different patterns and what they mean, but just know that as long as the light is on and blinking, that's working. And I know you mentioned, oh, what if the light goes off? It can go off too. If it goes off throughout the program, and there is a reason as to why that happens, because it can happen and it's completely normal, you will still be good to go. Again, there are very specific conditions as to why this light pattern change, and you're going to see that the more you understand these patterns, and all of this will be clear in Healy for Beginners and Beyond, you will see, wow, right, yes, it is actually pretty consistent based on the information that the app is giving me and the intensity I'm using and the frequencies that are currently being transmitted. All of that is going to be clear. But yes, you can expect 3 different behaviors if you're using your Healy HighWave. The light can be on solid. The light could be flickering, sometimes a little faster, sometimes a little slowly. And lastly, the light may be off, sometimes momentarily, and then it will turn on again. But it is, those three patterns are completely normal as you are using the Healy HighWave.
You know, there was a mention earlier too about, you know, Henry's talking about intensity. The significance of having your Healy setting from high to low, right? Which is relevant to how you have intensity setting on the app. Because when we have our intensity, or when we have our setting of our Healy on high, which is like he said, that's the default mode when all your Healys come in. They're already set to the high level output. So if you haven't messed with that, you're fine. But you can, with the intensity level in the program itself, you can also have, you know, remember it starts out at 15%, which is too low in most cases for the Healy HighWave to have that light activated. So you have to increase that up until it gets to past that threshold, which is this is why you can't have the Healy in low power mode, because it's already kind of, even if you set, I think you can actually set the setting all the way up to max in the intensity and kind of overcome that. But it's better just to keep your setting it high within the setup mode, and then adjust your intensity on the app, you know, up high enough to get that blinking light. So I look forward to talking more about that later. And I'm sure that there'll be lots of questions from the Healy for Beginners.
Yeah, it's a great question too. And I think after Healy for Beginners and Beyond, like we really want to put together a comprehensive guide. So anytime you look at your HighWave and you see whether it's solid or blinking or flashing fast or it was on and it went off, you'll understand fully what exactly that means. So, you know, there's no worries over, is it working or is it not, that kind of thing. So we are definitely, it's a great question, and we're going to put together a very great overview for everybody on that.
Yeah, I think just for peace of mind and just to keep it nice and simple, as long as you start your program and you see that light starts blinking, even if it's momentarily, and it starts flickering and starts lighting up, sometimes may turn off, and you see that flow of current in the program, you're good to go. That's basically what you need to know. As at that point, you can really just forget about it, close the app if you want, and just move on with your day as the frequencies are being transmitted.
You know, another part of what was spoken about there within that conversation was the application of the wristbands versus the application of the Healy HighWave. Remember, the Healy HighWave is speaking to the entity, the body that it's attached to as a whole, right? So, and being able to see that and measure that, and then monitor that within the feedback. The light itself is a feedback device, right? No different than, say, the current is flowing on your app. It's a feedback loop. So when we're running the wristbands, remember the main upper torso of the body, current flow or electron flow goes in the path of least resistance. Just understand the path of least resistance. So in other words, when we're driving down the road and the road is, you know, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and it's 5 miles from point A to point B, but if you could throw a rock straight across from point A to point B and it's 1 mile, right? If you could throw a rock that far, or as a crow flies, they say, the path of least resistance is a straight line. Yes. So when we're running the current flow through the body, the path of least resistance is from arm to arm, not necessarily from arm to ankle. You understand? And so you're going to get the upper torso getting the majority of the microcurrent or current flow and addressing those cells systemically, but kind of the upper torso systemically. Now, if you were to run, say, a wristband from, say, your right wrist to your left ankle, now we're going in a pattern down the body, right, in a bigger systemic method. Okay, so just look at it that way, that with the wristbands, you're kind of going from band to band. With the HighWave, you're going all around as a globe, all right, as a full systemic system. Okay. So Laura has a question about the replacement device promo. I'm not sure. So you're asking, is it after the 14-day return period? Where do we find? So in
Yeah,
other words,
we talked a little bit about this, I think on a couple weeks ago, because this is a problem that was carried over from last month too, where basically if you purchase a Healy HighWave, you can get it's more than 50% discount on a Healy replacement device. But the process for where you go to basically redeem the Healy replacement device is not like sort of the regular process. It's a little bit different too. So when you purchase the HighWave and add on the replacement device, your HighWave will go ahead and ship, but the replacement device, you have to basically go in and redeem it or claim that device that you already ordered. And that's actually in, I'll share my screen and we'll just go through this. So we are here. This is the Healy shop. I'm logged into an account here. So what we're talking about here, like if you go to the shop and go to the HighWave section, it'll just show everyone exactly what we're referring to here. You go over here, go to Healy HighWave, click on this, and then we go to the HighWave page, and then we'll see we have the launch offer. You pick a serial number. When you're purchasing a HighWave, you have to assign it to at least some sort of Healy on your account, because that's where the MindWave and CellWave programs will be added to. So you pick whatever device that you want there, and then you see there's a couple different options you can add on a replacement device for 121.50 US, and then or both. You can actually pick both if you wanted. Upgrade to the next Healy edition for 240-250. So if you have a Resonance Plus and say you want to upgrade to Professional, during the process of purchasing a HighWave, you can add that on for just $242, which is a great deal. But say you went through, you placed your order for the HighWave, you added on the device replacement. What happens is, you'll see the rewards will be visible in the rewards section of your Healy shop. So where is that? If you go to your account, just go hover over your name at the top. And if you go to the rewards section, this is where it will show up. And Henry, I think you could probably speak more to like when this normally shows up also, because you're part of this process here. But if you have anything to be redeemed, it would show up here. So for example, say you completed that purchase, you added on the device replacement, you come back over here, and then you'll be able to click on it, click redeem. It asks you to confirm your shipping address, that kind of thing. And then at that point, it would be sent out. And then for device replacements, there is no expiration date. You see one listed here. This was just a test thing that was going on internally where there's an expiration date listed for it. The expiration date applies to free items that were sort of earned, that type of thing. But if you actually purchase something, there is no expiration date on that here too. And then anything that you have redeemed in the past would show up in this redeem section at the bottom also. But Henry, it's normally by the end of the next business day, right? But when these
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it really varies. Just to be safe, I always like to say up to 48 hours. But we usually try our best to ensure that these orders are being updated and ensuring that those rewards are going as fast as possible. So really, you can expect them as soon as within the same day. But again, it may take up to 48 hours depending on the day. If it's maybe closer to the weekend and stuff, that could vary, but usually it's pretty fast. So I would say anywhere between 1 to 2 days.
Definitely not after the 14-day return period. No.
Yes, definitely not.
No.
Definitely not. You
So
shouldn't
if you're
have
not
to wait.
seeing it, yeah. So if somebody's not seeing it,
Yeah.
there's something that's maybe not applied. Maybe submit a ticket with your order, whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it, within 3 days, if it's been 3 days and somebody's like, you know somebody or yourself, and you see that you're not getting the rewards that you're expecting to get, I would reach out to us via the live chat feature at the bottom right corner of our website. We will be happy to help you with anything like that.
That's awesome. Great questions, by the way. Thank you guys. Appreciate that.
Or
Uh, what else?
I think we're caught up, but actually, Henry was mentioning earlier that we had a question come in via email. We when we switched the time of Tech Tip Tuesday from 8 p.m. Eastern, so evenings, to this afternoon time slot, at least afternoon on the East Coast, late morning on the West Coast. We mentioned that if you can't join live, you can send an email to us, and then if we have time, we can cover it during the call. So a question came in from somebody that hasn't been able to attend Tech Tip Tuesday recently, but they had a battery question, essentially a battery life, battery sort of activity, what's normal, what's not. And so the question was, while they're running a program, let's say they're running a program and it stops for whatever reason, I don't know, I disconnected, something like that, or the device turned off for some reason. They turned it back on, it showed 99% charged, which actually was higher percentage than what it was before it turned off. So, okay, how did that happen? Maybe it was at 57% and it turned off, the program finished or whatever, and then they turn it back on as 99%. And they go and they run a new program or keep running the program. And at some point it needs to be recharged, but it seems to them that it only had the battery life of what it was before it sort of went from, it seems like accidentally, or sort of, well, shouldn't have gone from 57 to 99. Maybe it really was 57%, and that was a misreading from the battery calibration or the sensor or whatever type of thing. Also, that it really seemed like it really only had 50% battery life left, even though it was showing 99%. So the question was, is there anything that they can do to remedy this? I know we talk about the battery quite a bit on this call here. Actually, there is Henry. So the person who submitted this is here today, huh? Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Aaron, for submitting the question. I see that. Fortunately, you did manage to come today, so that's awesome. Happy to have you
Yeah.
here with us.
Perfect. Even better. So, so really, what happens here? The the battery percentage that you see in the Healy app is not some sort of direct reading from the battery itself. There's no like physical connection directly in there. There's an algorithm or some sort of estimate of what that battery life is, and occasionally it can be off by a little bit. Usually restarting the app, hard closing and reopening, shutting the device off, turning it back on will kind of fix that. But if this is something that it wasn't a one-off, or you seem like this happens on a regular basis, to where the battery life, for whatever reason, the indicator seems like it's showing too much or too little, that kind of thing, you can do a hard reset. And Henry, I know you've shown, we have many different videos on our Healy World Learning Hub, where you can kind of see what that process is. It's very simple. It really just involves holding down the power button for a period of time, usually 10 to 15 seconds, in order to do that. We'll share the links in the chat for that video. But if this is something that happens more than once, even after hard closing and reopening or deleting the app and reinstalling, you still see this, a hard reset almost always would fix this kind of calibration issue. But you have to keep in mind, after you do this process, that you're going to want to go through a few full charge cycles. So meaning fully deplete the battery, fully charge the battery, fully deplete the battery again, fully charge the battery, before you're really going to get the most accurate reading from the battery too.
And that's super important, by the way, guys. This full depletion and full charge. How many of you guys, and I mean, you don't have to raise your hand, but just in your mind, how many of you guys, no matter what the charge is, at the end of the day, you plug it in, charge it up. How many of you guys? No, some people do that. Yeah. Stop that.
Actually, not for my Healy. With my phone, I do that.
But people do it with their phone too. I highly recommend. Look, I'm talking to you from an engineering perspective on how you can maximize a battery life. And I'm not talking about the life of the battery in your car. I'm talking about the life of the battery in your rechargeable devices. These lower voltage devices, lower current flow devices. These batteries are built for a specific charge sequence. And the sequence means that it needs to be fully depleted, right? In other words, let the device go dead and then plug it in and let it completely charge back up. It needs these cycles on a regular basis. This will give the maximum longevity of the battery. Doesn't matter what the device is. Doesn't matter if it's your ear pods. Doesn't matter if it's your cell phone. Doesn't matter if it's your Healy. Doesn't matter if it's your Mag Healy. I know so many people are leaving their Mag Healy on the charge base all the time, right? And the sacrifice to that eventually, I'm not saying right away, but eventually you start having these odd symptoms, okay? And these odd symptoms are going to be what Aaron here is talking about. So let's make sure that we're on a. Here's how many times should you do this on a weekly basis? 70% of the time. 70% of the time. I like the 80-20 rule better, but at least 70% of the time, let your device go completely dead and then charge it completely up. All right. If you just use that, that's a minimal. I do mine probably at least 80%. And I have my oldest Healy, by the way, folks, I've got it right here with me. My little beautiful oldest Healy. This guy is over 5 years old. I can still kick this baby on and boom, I'm in business, right? And I can run probably, I'm not going to tell you how many, a lot of programs every day on this guy. And it still works. Why? Because when I turn it on and I start using it, I will drain that battery. I will drain that battery because if I'm draining the battery, let me give you another philosophy. What's in that battery is a bucket of electrons. A bucket of electrons. These electrons are like infinite possibility of information. And those electrons, when Healy asks that electron to orbit through your body, whether it be through a magnetic wave or a microcurrent signal or with the high wave, doesn't matter. When Healy is taking that electron and it is shifting it into a carrier of information, and that goes out into the universe or out into your body, it's now passing that information on into your body. But guess where it's not anymore? It's not in the battery anymore. No different than eating some food. Body utilizes the content of it and then gets rid of the waste, right? This is how the whole cycle of energy flow happens. Energy never dies, it just gets transmuted, moved around, right? And so that's the same thing in a battery. You need to take all those electrons out, eat them up, use them up, let your body be a better version of itself because of it, and then put them back. Okay. So if you don't do that, what happens is it no longer gets to full capacity eventually. And you can get, like Jake mentioned, it's an algorithm that the app is giving you a indication of battery life. It's an algorithm. There's no wires attached to the Healy to tell you exactly what's going on in that battery, and it can get confused. So charge it fully up and down. Deplete it fully, charge it fully, reconnect to the app, and you're going to see that it's going to perform a lot better. I've never had a single problem with this Healy that is in terms of Healy ancient. Not one problem. All right. All right. We got new questions.
Couple comments, but yeah, Henry put the troubleshooting steps video there in the chat too, so that's always helpful for anyone that needs a reminder on how to do those different hard reset processes there too.
So an Aaron comments in here saying that I always wait until it goes, it says charge. It usually happens at 4%. So if you're doing that process and yet you're still having some kind of a symptom like that, then this reset protocol is going to be what you need to do for sure. I might have reset mine a couple times, but mostly the oldest one I have is the one I do the most experiments on. So I'm always experimenting on it, reset it and complete it, let it die. This is the one I will be out, like, I don't know, digging a trench, climbing a mountain, riding motorcycles. I'm like, not swimming. No, I don't go swimming with it. No, it's not waterproof. But everything else, and I'm sweating all over the place and doing all kinds of stuff. And this baby's just like, Ken, give me more, buddy. Give me more.
Skydiving.
Skydive, dude, I did. I went skydiving with my Healy, and it performed perfectly the whole time. I got to fly that kite down all the way to the ground. Oh,
Nice.
heck yeah. This is the one that goes with Adventure Ken right here. My Obsidian is the one that goes with Elegant Ken. Goes out to dinner, movie.
What about martial arts, Ken?
Oh,
Right here. Right here.
No.
The old one is the martial arts Ken. Yeah. I'm telling you what, when you get a front snap kick to the chest and you're wearing this bad boy, it just leaves a mark. You got this. No, I fully live life hooked up, biohacked, right? Because folks, I want to close with this. We live in a world that has been biohacked and not in the right favorable way. There's been conditions in our world where industry has tried to mass produce things and added additives that our body was not prepared to manage. There are frequencies that our body was not prepared to manage. There's been an evolution over the years of every hormone within these bodies, every gut biome, every microorganism in these bodies. There's been an evolution. The bodies of today versus the bodies of 100 years ago, completely different. Now, they may look similar, but the way that they're functioning today has adapted, mutated. And we are having struggles. Just look at the health globally. And the United States is about the worst. And the truth is there are countries out there, there are communities out there that don't even have clean water. And yet their bodies are healthier than some of the ones here in the United States. The majority of the ones here in the United States. Why? Why is that? It's because we have been asked to deal with many, many toxins in our world, in our country, in our food supply, in our water supplies. And so what do we do about that, right? It's very, very important that we understand how these bodies process and then give them assistance, biohack the way that we can support them, okay? Because naturally, it's not happening. It's not happening. And how many of you spend 60% of your time in nature, barefoot, grounded? How many? How many of you drink drink water that's purified, that you've measured, that is clean and healthy? How many of you eat a completely holistic diet? How many of you live within a demographic where bacteria that you're inhaling through the oxygen you breathe and through the skin from things you touch are not contaminated, right? These bacteria that we take in are shifting and mutating genetically the bacteria in our bodies. And then that bacteria doesn't become a performance model for everything that we need to digest and to assimilate. So the downfall to that is that the assimilation is incomplete, no matter how healthy you eat. The bioavailability of content is less than optimal, and the raw materials for your body to build itself and rebuild itself is tainted. So we're now in a world of biohacking. And the cool thing that I love the most, folks, is that now it's becoming more acceptable. Quantum entanglement is now a thing. It's a fad. It's a cool word, right? Biohacking is now a term that everybody really probably understands. So it's a time in our world, in our lives, that we take advantage of these systems that can optimize these bodies and assist us in being the best version of ourselves. Who's in? I'm in. I'm in.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean,
All right, guys. Well, hey, thank you very much for all the questions. And if you guys want to save the chat, because Jake's and Henry's put a lot of great stuff in there. At the top of the chat box there, it says Healy Tech Tip Tuesday, 3 little dots. Click on those 3 little dots. Be a drop down menu, and there's a tab that you just click on to save chat. At the end of our call, if you're on your smart device or on your PC or laptop, you'll get that file. You'll have all these links. Okay. So please join us for Frequencies and Friends, everybody. And then the next episode of Healy for Beginners and Beyond. I look forward to seeing you again and again and again. If you found value in this call, people, please share it with your friends. The fact that you're here is why we're here. If you're not here, well, we're not here. All right. Love you guys. Hey, thanks, Henry. Thanks, Jake. Have an amazing rest of your
absolutely. Absolutely, Ken. Thank you so much. And remember, guys, this will be available on our YouTube channel. So if you missed it or you want to rewatch it, it's going to be available, the recording of today's call, on our YouTube channel.
All right, guys. See you later.
Thanks,
Bye-bye,
everyone.
everybody. Take
Bye.
care.